I got it bad. You don't know how bad I got it. You got it easy. You don't know you've got it good. It's getting harder, just keeping life and soul together. I'm sick of fighting, even though I know I should. The cold is biting through each and every nerve and fiber. My spirit broken is freezing to the core. I don't wanna be here no more. Wouldn't it be good to be in your shoes, even if it was for just one day? Wouldn't it be good if we could wish ourselves away? Ooh. Wouldn't it be good to be on your side? The grass is over greener over there. Wouldn't it be good if we could live without a care? And I'm done with that bullshit. That was Nick Kershaw from 1984.
I haven't heard that in years.
Yeah, probably since 1984. Let me introduce this bullshit podcast. This is Invert the Y. Episode Stardate Log, Captain's Log 12.1.5.9, and the USS Invert the Y is orbiting another planet of retrodom and bullshit. And today, he's back. Rocket Russell. Yay!
Very excited. It's this time of the year again, man.
Yeah, it's like Christmas Eve.
I know. And you know what? In
2 weeks.
Well, I reckon 4 weeks we'll be doing a fucking podcast whinging about how we fucking hate this sport.
Yeah,
so we're sitting here rubbing our hands
I've got
together.
a big thing that I've got to say, and I know you're going to get the shits, but we'll talk about it. So let's just get into it. Topic of the show. No surprises, because Rocket Russell's here. It's either one or two things.
Yeah, basically.
It's either a fucking conspiracy theory, which we were talking about before we started recording.
Yes, we were.
But Jason Relaxation is not part of this podcast today. He's got a sand in his vagina, so he's not joining us. He's replaced by a sock puppet again. And so he wanted to be part of this conspiracy theory, so we'll have to put it on hold.
Yes.
Again. So we're back to what we know and do best, and that's to talk about some Formula One. And at the time of this recording, they've just finished pre-season testing, haven't they? They're done.
It's done.
It's all done.
Done, dusted. Next
So
thing
they're
is
packing
Melbourne.
up, ready to go to Australia.
Yes.
In Melbourne, which will be in 2 weeks at the time of this recording. And we thought we'd just go through the results and just think a little bit more about what we said before about pre-season, like our pre-season review, and see if we're right or wrong. And I got to say straight away, man, I don't feel good about this season already. I don't feel good because you and I both want a certain person in a certain yellow car, which was black in testing,
Yes.
right, to do well. Although I must admit that Renault and Daniel Ricciardo were flying. They looked pretty good, but we'll just go through it. Like Mercedes with that DAS system,
wow,
look unbeatable. And so does
although
Lewis
they've
Hamilton.
got some engine problems.
Yeah, they do.
They've got oil problems,
they do.
which has struck them and
All their
Williams.
customers.
Yeah,
And including the Pink Panthers as well.
the pink Mercedes.
The Pink Mercedes. We'll get to that fucking thing as well. That all the power units that Mercedes provides, as well as their own works team, don't look reliable at all.
No,
and
they
I
went
think
through 3 at Mercedes alone.
yeah, they're not doing so well at all. So they've either got to go back to the drawing board and think about what they're doing, or
go Mercedes. I mean, as Danny Rick said, how you win what? Is 4 in a row? 5 in a row.
no, since 2014. So they're going for their sixth season.
Six in a row.
6 in a row. Yeah,
And you are still thinking up things like
yeah.
gas.
They look.
And have you watched the video, the video they've released about the car and the differences?
Oh yeah, a little
They
bit.
basically redesigned the entire car. I mean,
yeah. Well,
most teams have done an upgrade, bar the pink Mercedes. Most teams have done, just a evolution, whereas Mercedes have gone back to the drawing board and gone, let's make it more aggressive.
They apparently the other team. So what we're talking about, we should go back a step, is what they call the DAS system, DAS.
But it's the whole car, not just the DAS.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole car's been re-envisaged, and it's just...
Yeah, but they've got this funky steering system where they push the steering wheel in towards the front of the car and they pull it out towards the driver.
Yes.
And that's basically changing the camber.
No, it's the toe.
The toe, sorry,
It's
of
the
the
toe.
of the steering of the front wheels, which apparently will give them better mechanical grip going into and out of the corners.
Well, it decreases friction. So camber, as you know, is plus and minus that way,
Yep.
and toe is this way. So in a corner, you toe in. So viewers can't see this.
No, they
I'm
can't
doing it
see.
with my hands. It's pretty good view.
Or two people.
Yes, all two people. Hello, two people.
Hello, two people.
So it brings the temperature down, so it'll create the friction will be decreased.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I've got a big problem with this because at the end of it's a driving aid, and I don't understand why the FIA hasn't said, even though it's banned for 2021, which is next year.
Why invest money in something that's pointless?
Well, because they want to win, and you got to give them. You got to tip your hat to them for doing that. But I don't understand why it's allowed. It's a driving aid. They might as well allow traction control again. You know what I mean?
I watched a fair bit of testing session 2, over the 3 days, and I didn't see them using it anywhere near as much.
Because I reckon they're under pressure for it. I mean, the first day of testing, they were taking the piss. The wheel was going in and out, in and out. It was like my Holden Gemini from the 90s. That used to do that too, but I don't think it was supposed to do it. They used to go in and out as well.
I had a Kingswood that rocked.
Yeah, so did the Gemini. So when I used to go around a corner and I used to turn right, the wheel would actually go in towards the dash, and as I went to the left, it'd come out. I don't think that was certainly not legal, but
Mine rocked, and the bottom of it, I don't know if you remember the shape of a Kingswood steering wheel.
yeah.
But the brakes on a Kingswood were that bad, you'd have to grab the bottom of the steering wheel and put both feet on the brakes to pull it up. So it had bent the bottom of the steering wheel after time. But with the steering wheel rocking when you were trying to turn and you had the bent bit, it was crazy.
Every Kingswood I ever sat in, I never felt safe. I never felt safe. I had a mate that I went to uni with. He had a Kingswood. That was his first car, right? So by the time, this is like 93, 94, and this Kingswood would have been, I don't know, what, 70s vintage, roughly?
Yeah, no, out of production since
Well,
78.
Oh, yeah, so well and truly early 70s or mid-70s vintage. Was an absolute tank on wheels, and it had these sort of bench seats as well at the front. I just never felt safe in it. He was a good driver. I just didn't feel safe in it. Like, it just seemed like the brakes weren't good enough for it. It was just, but see, the Gemini I used to have, right, it had terrible brakes too, because it had drum brakes at the back. So whenever it was cold or it had some moisture, the brakes would sort of swell. So you put your foot on the brakes and they'd just lock up. It'd just lock.
Well, I had a HQ wagon that had 4-wheel drum brakes, hence why the bottom of the steering wheel was thinking. Whether you had no chance in that thing, it was, you just didn't take it out.
Drum brakes at the front.
Drum brakes at the front.
That's kind of not smart.
It was sketchy as.
Yeah.
Sketchy.
And they were heavy cars too. And the
that didn't help.
No. Like the Gemini had disc brakes at the front, but the rotors were really small. And they always used to warp. So you had to get them machined every now and again. And then you get to the point where the mechanic would say, look, I can't machine this anymore. You know, you need to put new rotors on the thing. Oh, man, it's just, people don't appreciate how good cars are now. Like, most cars are good. Like, there really isn't a shitty car anymore. Like, even the shit cars are good.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
That's the thing. You know, they're made to do something and they do it. And the car technology's come along that far that, you know, you grab some parts from Bosch, you grab some parts from here.
I saw the new Mark 8 GTI yesterday.
Oh, yes.
They released it in Germany. Yeah, because, you know, I got the Mark 7.
Yes.
I saw it, and I've got mixed feelings about it.
Oh, yeah, I think I did see a picture of it.
I like it. At first, I didn't like it. I went, but I actually kind of like it. It looks a bit meaner. And what I like is, because I love this shit, I'm an idiot, right? I got this problem where I go, I kind of want it.
You know my problem with the Volkswagens is at the moment?
What?
And it is not actually Volkswagen. I think the little Golf R, the GTIs, amazing little cars.
Yeah.
Beautiful little cars. But the problem is you get so many fuckwits who are putting exhaust systems on them at the moment.
Yeah.
And you put an exhaust system on them and they actually sound shit.
Yeah.
They sound horrible. And you got these fuckwits with these big exhausts on them and they don't need it. It sounds nice normally. And when you put the big, it just sounds shit.
Yeah, so I think it was the Mark 7.5. This is real nerdy car shit. VW put their own new exhaust system on them to make them sound a bit louder than the original Mark 7. So mine doesn't have it, right? And the Mark 8s have them from the get-go. But when I looked at the Mark 8, everything's electronic now. So there's no analog dash anymore. So it's all like digital. And I looked at, and everything's LEDs, man. So you can have a party in there, dude. Like if you want a red LED dash, you can have it. But tomorrow you can have a blue one. And I just watched it and I went, I hardly drive, but I kind of want it bad. They come in I think they come out here in December, and I might just go down there. It'll break. I feel like I'm cheating. Like I'll take mine down there and go, how much trade-in would I get for this, right? And I just want to know, but I feel like I'm cheating. Like it's so dumb, it's so stupid. But I love that shit. You know, it's been a great little car. But those early Holdens, man, I just never felt safe. And the Gemini was better, but the brakes were awful on that thing.
Early cars, any early car, brakes were horrible.
And the pedal always went to the floor. Like it had just spongy fucking brakes on it, and it's like I just can't get out of the situation.
You want spongy? Try 4-wheel drums.
Awful. They would have been awful.
As I said, it was both feet on the brakes, hoping for dear life.
You know,
hoping for dear life.
It's like the old man, right? The first time he drove my car, he goes, "Oh, I don't like it. It's too bouncy. It's too rough. I don't like it. It's got too much power. It's just everything." He hated everything, right? Next thing you know, there's turbo farting going on everywhere because he's like hammering it. And then he says, you know, every car should have these brakes. These brakes are magnificent. I just feel like I could stop any time I put my foot on the brake. He goes, everyone should have these brakes. I go, yeah, but they cost more money than people are willing to pay, right? Because they're big giant rotors on the thing. It's just stupid for a little car. But I must admit, once you get a car like a brake like that, you don't want to go back.
No, that's a problem.
That's a problem. I've driven other cars and I just don't have any. I'm like, I can't. These brakes are shit. You know?
So my last 2 cars have been sporty-ish cars.
You can't go back.
And now I've gone to the Trident. Oh my God,
it's tough. Hey,
it's you can't throw it into corners. No. You can't. You know, a fear of tipping it on its side. It's
Jason Relaxation drove my car once, right? And he goes, and he had a. I don't know if I ever told you this. He had a Kia Carnival, a big family truckster, because he's got kids, right?
He's got kids, yeah.
Right. Shout out to him, little prick. Anyway, he was driving my car and he goes, man, it just does what I want it to do. I could just throw it into a corner. It just sticks on the road. I put my foot on the brakes. It just stops. He goes, yeah, I don't like my car anymore. And I'm not kidding. Within a couple of weeks, he went down to the dealership and he bought his own Golf. It was bullshit. I go, what did you do that for? You got kids. You can't. It's a small car. You don't have the room. I'll make room. And so you'll see him drive with a boot fully laden with bikes and scooters, and the seats folded down, and the kids are sitting on shit they shouldn't be sitting on. It's like, what did you do that for? I just wanted the power, and I just wanted the grip. Yeah, all right, cool, you know. And so going back to Mercedes, they look like they've got everything that they want. Like they've got the brakes, they've got the grip, they've got the steering that gives them the grip, they've got the power. They just need the reliability, and that's it.
And look, I'm sure there is a fleet. What, 1,600 employees at the Mercedes?
I think they're one of the biggest teams, if not the second biggest team. I think Ferrari outdo them in terms of number. I think.
But 1,600 people.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people. Yeah. So I imagine there's probably about 1,000 of those people at the moment looking into Mercedes reliability.
Imagine the hours those guys are putting in. Like they would be doing like 14, 15, 16-hour days to get that engine.
When that motor hit the factory from testing, I'm pretty sure they would have done, a few shifts straight.
Yeah, for sure.
Stripping it down, working out,
But the car looks awesome. It looks awesome.
It looks more aggressive.
Oh, it just looks awesome. I just don't think. It looks
more vacuum sealed as well.
You know what? I know shit about engineering. I know shit about aerodynamics. I know nothing about cars, period. I just like driving them. I like having a nice car, right? That's it. But I look at that thing on the track, and it just looks faster than any other car. It just looks faster,
Yeah, and it set the testing benchmark, didn't it? Which they couldn't beat or match.
No, they're not as quick as but that could be because it was very windy.
Yeah, testing when they said it was at 15. Valtteri Bottas said a 15.7, was it?
Yeah, it wasn't as quick as last year? No. They reckon the conditions were preventing them from getting quicker times.
Yeah, and then so no one got close. I think 16.2 was the rest of the sessions.
But I tell you, man, they look
good.
They look unbeatable. This is why I told you I fucking told you. We're going into this season, unless things change, with...
Now, see, as we get further in, I think there's actually a couple of little dark horses in there who have actually flown. I mean, they've flown in the radar, but also under the radar as we get further in.
Yeah, we'll go down. So, yeah, I've just got a feeling that it's, resume transmission.
Yes.
Everything's back to normal for Mercedes.
Yes.
Ferrari, they don't look good. They got problems. Even Mattia Binotto, the team principal, he even admitted as such.
Yeah, they've got too much downforce now.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's right, because they
went with a low drag theory last year, which didn't work because they didn't have downforce.
So they had a rocket going down the straight. No one could beat them, but they were awful through the corners.
And then, so you've heard the latest, haven't you?
No.
So you know the FIA scrutiny, the motor.
I have, yeah.
So have you heard the latest about that?
I have heard something about it.
They released a statement at, 5 o'clock, with 5 minutes to go in testing 3. Everyone had pretty much gone home, saying that they'd examined the Ferrari motor and come to a settlement that will be kept quiet.
Yeah, so what does that mean?
That's what everyone wants to know. So obviously Ferrari's done something, but no one knows what it is. They think it's a fuel regulation thing. But everyone, because everyone had gone. So there's going to be a fallout in the next couple of weeks where people are going to go, well, what happened? What did they do?
You know what I think? I reckon Ferrari's going to say, you know what? You've let Mercedes have this DAS system, which we think's bullshit. How much money do you want, FIA, for us to just keep what we've got? Because it makes no difference. They're nowhere near the pace of Mercedes.
No, they've looked quicker through the corners.
Yeah, but they're
definitely not.
No. But Mercedes, this is what shits me. They've definitely got some kind of driving aid, right? So I don't understand why they haven't clamped down on it. And the other teams have already come out and said, look, that's amazing what they've got. But if we want to try and retrofit it on our own car, it's going to take a year, they reckon.
There's no point.
There's no point.
No point in spending the money.
No, not when 2021 it's banned.
Yeah.
So kudos to them.
Yeah, go Mercedes. So, yes.
Ferrari don't look good.
Ferrari don't look good. They look better through the corners. They've lost a lot of top-end speed. But, everyone's saying, are they sandbagging?
I don't think they are. I think they're in shit.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see.
And Vettel spun it a few times as well.
Yep.
Didn't he? Leclerc, I think, had his handle on it better than Vettel did.
Well, he was the quickest out of the two.
Yeah, so Vettel is in trouble again. But we don't know. We will have to wait till Melbourne. So
lap times in testing do not mean shit.
But consistently over the 3 days for both testing sessions, Ferrari were on the back foot.
Yes.
They
didn't look as quick.
No, but they do look reliable. There was only, 2 stoppages for Vettel? One for Vettel, one for Leclerc. There was a stoppage for both of them.
Yeah.
But they didn't have the issues Mercedes do with that power unit.
No, but like everyone was saying, they look slow down the straight, but look at the rest of the customer engines, and they were pretty quick down the straight. So there's something going on.
I agree, yeah. And Red Bull, they're a dark horse.
They look consistent.
Yeah.
Maxi Boy spun it a few times.
Yeah.
Alex didn't do too bad.
Alex spun it, though. I think he lost it on day 2. Was it day 2?
Yeah, but
yeah,
they've looked consistent. They have, again, I don't think anyone's shown their hand as much as they can.
No, they definitely not. They're sandbagging a little bit. The only thing they're saying is they don't know if the Honda engine is as powerful as it should be or needs to be to match Ferrari / Mercedes.
/ Renault.
Yeah, we'll get to them in a sec. So, yeah, they're a dark horse. They didn't really show much. They didn't really blow the world apart.
They didn't do the most laps, but they did plenty of laps.
But you know what the consistent thing that I saw? I almost sent you a video last night, but it was like 35 minutes long and it was late at night, so I didn't think you'd get a chance to watch it. They are saying that the Red Bull looks tricky to drive.
Yeah, it was looking twitchy.
I saw that video. It looks very... Did you see it? Yeah.
Yes.
I think Will Buxton was walking up and down the paddock. So they're saying that it's twitchy. It doesn't look good to drive, nice to drive, and it takes someone like Verstappen to really get the most out of it. So they got a bit of work to do.
But he likes a twitchy car. So, a couple of years of development in the way that driver wants his car, it's going to look twitchy.
I don't think Albon does, though.
He didn't look too bad. He was pretty consistent. His lap times weren't far off Max. He done what he had to do.
Yeah. We'll have to wait and see. Then we go down to McLaren. I'm just thinking off the constructors from last year, so I'll probably miss one or two, so you got to help me. McLaren, they didn't really show much at all, man.
They didn't do anything really.
And
I was expecting after last year, I was expecting something.
No. But they seem to be happy internally.
Yeah, look, everyone seemed to be really happy. The car was consistent. They didn't have too many problems.
It was reliable.
They got some good laps in.
Yeah, but it didn't show speed.
No.
But when that video you would have seen then with Will Buxton as the host, he was saying that they were the dark horse. They didn't show their hand much. Maybe it was deliberate. But then they interviewed Carlos Sainz and he was happy.
Yeah.
So
I think they had what they had to do.
Yeah, I think so.
They were, it was like playing Formula One in career mode. You practice. You've got to get your ERS testing in and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's going to be a good year. I just think they were just didn't show anything.
No, they didn't show anything. It surprised me. I actually thought they'd come out and so before winter testing, I actually thought McLaren would be the team that had come out and show up maybe Red Bull based on their season last year, really surprised the paddock.
Yeah, they didn't do anything.
So they weren't the team that surprised the paddock. We'll get to the team that did. Renault, I got to say, I'm impressed. So far, they could be bullshitting to us. I don't fucking trust Cyril. I don't trust anyone at Renault, right? But Daniel Ricciardo looked awesome.
Yeah, well,
he looked amazing.
Day 3 of test 2.
No, he was pumped at the end.
Pumped at the end.
Yeah, he finished third, behind the Mercedes.
Oh, and Leclerc wasn't.
Behind Leclerc. So he finished third on day 2. So just the last day of,
and he was top for most of day 3, wasn't he?
Yeah, and that's right. And day 3 but he got pipped again.
Yep.
But the Renault definitely looks a lot better than what it did last year.
Yeah, he had a bit of a spring in his step.
He does. Yeah, he looks like he was the first to admit that it's not as comfortable to drive as what the other big cars in the Mercedes and the Ferrari looks like in terms of handling, and it needs work. But he was not head down and not
he was
shattered and
all the interviews I saw with him, he seemed to be chipper about it.
Yeah. And the car definitely looked.
Ocon didn't light me on fire.
No, Ocon was struggling, man. He was way behind Ricciardo.
Yeah, he didn't. I was expecting more out of him.
Yeah.
But he didn't really shine all that much.
No, Ocon was struggling, but maybe that's because he's got a bit of ring rust, as they say in the wrestling.
Oh, well, you're out on the pastures.
Yeah, he was reserve driver for Mercedes last year, so he's probably not driven a car for 12 months.
And I was looking, saying the other day, he got hardly any of the tests for Mercedes last year.
Yeah, he did nothing. All he did was analyse data.
Yeah, George Russell did most of it. He did a lot of simulator work. Yeah. So he is really rusty.
Yeah, he would be. So I think he might struggle in the first few races. But look, you know what? Renault, I don't understand why no one was really talking about Renault too much in terms of wow, they seem to have found something in terms of last year. They're not going to beat Mercedes, right? They're not going to probably beat Ferrari or Red Bull. But they look like they're the fourth best. They look like the fifth. We'll get to the fucking fourth best. That really pisses me I'm gonna get annoyed. But anyway, they look.
We're both gonna get annoyed.
I know they look a lot better, man.
Yeah, no,
they look a lot better. And Ricciardo looks like he's definitely the lead at the moment, which is good. And we'll see what happens in Melbourne. We could be shocked. We could be like, "Yep, resume normal transmission." Renault is shit, right? Who knows?
Fingers crossed. Well, let's hope he gets further this time than he did last year.
I do like what Cyril is saying and what even Daniel is saying. That is, we're only going to probably be fourth this year. That's what we want. If we get closer to Red Bull or whoever's the top 3 teams, that's great, but we're not going to be any better than that. No. So they're not coming out saying, "Oh, well, we're going to be third this year."
No. Daniel said he'd like to see a podium this year.
That's what they really want. You know what? If they're close enough to, say, the third best team, if they get a freaky race like, say, Germany was last year, they almost got a podium last year with Nico Hulkenberg, but he put it in the wall. They may well get their podium this year. And I'll tell you what, if they get a podium this year, that will be massive for that team. That's what they need. They just need something, man. They've been chipping away now since 2016 when they re-entered the sport. They need something, dude, don't they?
They look good. It's going to be an interesting couple of first races.
Yeah, but you know what? We were right. We called it. I don't know if you've heard this, right? So they've come out immediately saying this is not the car they want because the guy that designed the chassis from
He's left.
He's left, so
They
it's
got
not
a new chassis.
So that's Pat Fry. Pat Fry's the new chassis engineer or designer, and he's already said this is not the car I would design. Right, so this is not the car they want, and the aerodynamics was designed by a team that's gone. Right, so they've inherited a car they don't really want, so they can either, Frankenstein it and put bits and pieces on it that makes it more, what they want going forwards, but it's not the car they were wanting for the whole year. So
it comes down to that question of how much money do you want to invest?
I think what's going to happen with this year, and this is a bit frustrating. If it's really shit, they're going to say, you know what, we're not going to do anything with this car. The regulations completely changed for 2021. We're just going to have to live with this shit and put all of our focus into 2021. That's why this year is going to be a bit of a disappointing year. I could be wrong. I think we're going to get good races.
I think there'll be definitely a couple of good races.
There'll be some good races, but what I'm saying is that you're going to have because they're inheriting cars and they know that they can't make massive changes because next year's so different, they're just going to live with it. Yeah, they're just going to live with the shit, which is going to be, as a spectator, annoying.
It's going to be an interesting.
That's what happens with regulation changes.
Yes, it's, as I said, it was amazing that some teams spent as much money on redesigning their cars as they did.
Mercedes, yeah,
and the other one.
And we'll get to the other fucking. That's a rant coming up. So who's after Renault? Renault would be then leading to. Do we talk about the pink car?
Well, we've got to. That's next in the queue, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? Yeah, I'm just trying to think of the pecking order. Okay, Racing Point, better known as the pink Mercedes.
Yes, has been dubbed the pink Mercedes.
Why is it the pink Mercedes, Rocket Russell?
Because the design is very, 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 very similar to the W10, which was the Mercedes car of last year, and a complete step away from the design tradition that they had. It's amazing.
Well, people are just saying that what's happened is they've bought last year's Mercedes, painted it pink, like you just said, and that's not in the spirit of the constructors' philosophy of Formula One. So the philosophy of Formula One is, for those that don't know, every team should make their own car, right? Whether it's good or bad or ugly, and go racing in the competition.
I mean, look, it is a model that most teams Haas buys parts.
Yeah.
There are teams that do it, but
they've taken the piss.
Oh, that's ridiculous, and it's going to be they're my dark horse. Dude, I hate it,
dude.
They're my dark horse,
dude. I'm calling it. You ready for my prediction? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm ready. Are you ready for what I think's going to happen? I think definitely Sergio Perez is going to get podiums this year.
Certainly. I reckon he'll get his win.
He may well. But it'll be a circumstance of the major teams have dropped out for some reason.
But see, he's going to be in a position. I think that car, they sandbagged. Out of all the teams who sandbagged, they sandbagged the most.
Who?
And
the pink
Mercedes.
Yeah.
They sandbagged enough to still be top of the times.
Yeah.
You look at the amount of times Sergio, because we won't even bother mentioning the other one.
I'm going to get to it. I'm going to hurt you, but yeah, go on.
I hate him. He's going to win a world championship purely based on money, and
I know.
Really annoys me.
Go with what you're saying.
Sergio, some of his lap times, he did post a couple of the fastest laps over the days, but a lot of his lap times could have been a lot quicker. There were quite a few instances where he lit up sectors 1 and 2 with purples, and then sector 3 was surprisingly slow.
Yeah, do you know they've been I was going to use the word interrogate, but that's the wrong word. They've asked him why did he back off for that particular lap.
There's a couple of them.
Yeah, or laps, and he kind of giggled and had a smirk on his face. But you can just tell because Sergio, you know what?
He wears his heart on his sleeve.
You know what?
He's jumping.
Yep. You know what I was just about to say this. He would be the worst poker player.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't you reckon? Because that guy, he's just beaming and he's happy and cheerful, and he's finally got a car he knows he could probably win. It's the best car. He's actually said it.
It's the best car he's ever
driven. The best car he's ever had. So whether they've inherited a car that was last year's race-winning Mercedes or not, or they've inherited that car from last year from Mercedes and then tweaked it and done their own thing to it, which I think they have. They'd have to, otherwise they've contravened the constructors' agreement that they've all got. They've definitely got a great car, and I think it's going to ruffle a few feathers, namely maybe even Red Bull, certainly McLaren and Renault.
I think they're going to be definitely top of the midfield.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I think they're going to piss the midfield off,
and I think they'll be touching on the top three.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think, as you said, in their circumstance, they're going to be in a position to take that win.
The only thing that maybe counteracts that is, the second day of testing where Daniel Ricciardo was blisteringly fast. But is that because he had no fuel in the car? He was doing quality laps and everybody else was doing race simulations. We don't really know.
That's the problem with testing.
That's the problem with testing. We don't know. But he was very quick.
Oh, yeah.
And even when they weren't quick, he was still consistently like top of the midfield. So Renault are probably aiming for top of the midfield this year to get back.
I think they're going to get touched up. I think Racing Point.
Yeah, it's hard to say Racing Mercedes, Racing Point.
Oh, well, it's so many names. Like we've had Force India.
Well, they're going to be.
We've got Racing Point, and then we're going to have Aston Martin Racing next year.
Do you see how massive Aston Martin is going to be next year? I think they're going to touch up. They're going to ruffle. They're going to piss people off. They really are. Yeah, I think they're going to touch up the midfield. They're going to annoy McLaren because I think McLaren honestly thinks going into this year that they could easily be the best of the rest.
Yes.
And because they were last year by a long way. So they obviously have
got good reason to. I mean, they progressed really well last year. They started out crap in Melbourne, and by the end of the year, they were doing really well. Yep. So I think, if you look at that, they've done well to get it up there.
Well, there's no reason why they wouldn't be Rocket Russell. They blitzed the midfield last year, right? They obviously have got the resources and facilities to increase even further for this year.
Yep.
And the only question mark is that their testing was pretty average. Not that it was anything wrong.
There was nothing stand out about it.
No, but that could be deliberate.
Yeah, that's it. You don't know what schedule they were running.
Conversely, having crazy lap times from Daniel Ricciardo via Renault in testing just gone is also a really great way of creating headlines to attract sponsors. You know that they do that, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You put it on next to no fuel. You put was it 10.01 kilos of fuel in,
and you just do a bullshit lap.
And then chuck it into lean mode and let it because backfire around the track.
You know who's been responsible for the past in doing that? The Pink Panthers.
Oh, the
Racing Point.
I think Racing Point, and even back when they were Force India, they had a good team. I just don't think they ever had the money.
Correct.
Now they've got a good team.
And the money.
And they've got the money.
Yeah.
And money talks.
Yeah, of course it does.
This year's car is a prime example of the change of, money in that place.
One of the team leaders, what's his name, Zafmal Otmar, not the team principal. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. He came out and said they are eyeing off the top three this year. I can't remember the guy's name, but this was the interview that Will Buxton did during preseason testing. He said, we think we can easily be the best of the rest, but maybe even beyond that, like touch up Red Bull, piss Red Bull off, especially if the Honda motor isn't good enough.
How good will next season of Drive to Survive be if they do that?
Oh, we'll talk about that if we want.
Oh, yeah,
we'll get to that. We'll just go through the pecking order. So, okay, Racing Point, and
my dark horse of the year.
They are my dark horse too. I'm going to be really curious to see how they go in practice one in Melbourne, because if they're not at the top of practice 1 or 2, even though that's not true either, that's not a true indicator of where they are. But if they're there, then you got to start maybe thinking, like, go back to 2009 with Braun. Remember everyone wrote Braun off?
Well, and it was a $1 team.
It was a $1 team. He bought that team for $1 after, was it not Mercedes? Honda. Honda pulled out. And they had this wacky double diffuser thing, and everyone thought, oh, well, they're nobodies. And they started getting very fast in practice sessions and testing sessions, and then they put it on pole in Melbourne. Everyone went, holy shit. Yeah, That's right. JB, Jensen Button, put it on pole and Rubens came home in second. So, you know, I tell you what, all the bullshit stops in qualifying. So
that's it.
So if qualifying happens and the Pink Panthers are right up there, they're legit, man.
They've spent their
if
money
Racing
well.
Point is up there like in the qualifying session, say they're 4th or 5th, because I don't think they can beat Mercedes, then they're going to be legit the rest of the season, folks, and that's going to piss me off because I'm happy for Sergio.
Oh, very happy for Sergio.
Because Sergio kind of got fucked in McLaren when he was at McLaren, and he kind of landed on his feet in then Force India, then now Racing Point.
And he's got a nice contract. He's got a couple of years left on his contract.
Wouldn't he be smiling now?
Oh, wouldn't you just?
Because he's landed in
It's come up all Millhouse for him.
it's all coming up Millhouse. Because he's the guy that went to Force India, which were a very midfield team, but they always did really well with the money they had, as you said. Then they became Racing Point, and that was really scary, I'm sure, because he was the guy that forced them into receivership. Yeah. Remember that?
He was
save the team,
catalyst behind the team. Yeah. So, and for some of you came like he when he was with McLaren, he had some big tickets on him, but as he said himself,
he made mistakes.
He made mistakes. Yeah. He blew it. You know, he was too young. He was too immature.
Yeah, and you know what? He went up against Jensen Button, and he kind of did stupid things to Jensen Button during races, like nerfing him off the track a few times. And I think then Ron Dennis was very upset with. He never really clicked with Ron Dennis, and that was it for him.
Yeah, you know? Once you're not friends with the owner.
No, that's right.
You know, my name's above the door.
That's
sort
right.
Of guy.
That's
right. You're not going to last.
No, see you later. So yeah, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. No pun intended. And who's after that? We've got.
It'd be Alfa Romeo.
Ding ding, baby.
Alfa Romeo, very quiet.
Kimi said a topped one of the testing days.
Yeah.
Again, the bar Mercedes and the DAS, I don't think there was any massive standouts from testing. You know,
yeah,
I think people did what they had to do. You know, there's a few teams I think sandbagged, and again, I just think I don't think anyone really set the world on fire.
Yeah, no, we don't know about them, and you know what? I'm still not impressed with Giovinazzi or Giovinazzi. No. I'm not impressed. I'm just not.
He's still got a ponytail.
He's got a ponytail. I just think you know what I think? I really think this is his last season.
I think he's a seat filler.
Yep. Because Mick's not ready. Mick Schumacher's not ready.
Well, he lost all his points. When they reset his points, he lost them all.
That's right. Yeah. So I feel that Alfa Romeo are just there. You know what? They could touch up a few teams too.
They were another one. Everyone's just that's an annoying part.
Yeah, because they've got a good. You know what? They've got a great power unit with the Ferrari power unit, so we know that that's going to be competitive.
And they were one of the top 3 quickest cars down the straight.
And Kimmy's Kimmy.
You gotta love
Kimmy's Kimmy, man. But I feel it's his last year.
I saw an interview with him
thinking it.
And while they were talking about something, he just turned around and says, "Oh, look, I love Formula One, but it's more of a hobby nowadays than a job." Sort of thing,
he's not. He's just there being a seat filler himself. But you know what he's good for? He's a bit like Robert Kubica. He's very good as being a test driver and giving technical input.
Now, how happy do you reckon he is?
Who's that?
Robert Kubica.
I think he's very happy.
He said he did one of he was so Kimi said a day, didn't he? And Robert did as well.
Yeah, Robert did. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what, Robert? I think I like Robert Kubica.
Oh, mate, always been a big fan.
I could do a podcast just on him about the tragedy of Robert Kubica, how he could have been and should have been a world champion, but he got, I don't know, his career went down the tubes in lots of different ways, and then he had that horrible accident in a rally car where he almost lost his hand.
Nearly severed his arm.
Severed his arm.
Broke every bone on the left side of his body.
And he's lucky to be alive, let alone...
No, right side of his body, wasn't it? Yeah, right side.
Yeah, he's lucky to be alive, let alone being in a Formula One car.
Yeah, to get back to where he is.
Yeah.
I think we said this last year, kudos.
Yeah, exactly right, man.
Kudos.
And so I feel that he's doing what he thinks he should do and be capable of doing, and that's just be a test driver and give them valuable technical input.
He's consistent.
Exactly.
Yeah, and he knows he's one of those Nicky Laudas, Nicky Lauda's bum knew what the car was doing. He could read the car before the car knew it.
Yeah.
There's famous stories of Nicky Lauda saying there was something wrong with a tyre.
Yeah.
And they've dismantled the entire thing, found no problems, then examined one of the bearings, and one of the balls and one of the bearings was on its way out.
Yeah. I just feel that he's in the right place now. because I think he was out of his depth, unfortunately, at Williams last year, being up against the rookie like George Russell. And he knew I don't think he could compete anymore at that level because the car was awful, but you can't be 3 seconds a lap slower than your teammate. So where he is now as a test driver at Alfa Romeo is perfect for him. Yeah. So, you know,
he did well.
I haven't got a lot to say about Alfa because they didn't really show much at all. And then we got Haas, don't we?
Again, another one who actually they didn't even fly in the radar, did they?
Grosjean, I saw an interview with Grosjean last night. I think it was that video you saw with Will Buxton.
Yep.
And Grosjean was happy. He said, well, the car's a lot better in terms of handling than what we had last year, but we don't know where we are. But they weren't really anywhere.
No, I mean, they were one of the quickest down the straights, but that's a Ferrari
That's
power,
a Ferrari power, yeah. I don't know where they are because they didn't show anything. They
had a fair bit of time off track, didn't they, with some other issues?
They actually had a gearbox. Did they have a gearbox issue? They had some kind of issue. And so, yeah, they weren't really showing their hand at all, you know?
Yeah, but then last year's car was that bad. I mean, did they have a hand to show?
No. But see, again, you know what? This is a big year for Grosjean. I think he could be done, man.
I still can't believe he's got a drop.
Nah, we'll get to what a little theory I've got about something else. But, yeah, so that's Haas. Then there's Williams. They look a lot better.
They look first out on testing.
Yeah. But Claire Williams came out and said, we are a lot closer than where we were last year. We've made up a lot of ground, but we're probably still at the back. But we're not going to be as far back.
We're not getting lapped this time. No. We're going to be fighting, but it's going to be at the back of the midfield.
It's at the back of the midfield, yeah.
Look, that's a great expectation.
Yeah.
And if they can do that after the last 2 years they've had, that's a great result. And, you know, it really does cement the whole getting rid of Paddy, doesn't it?
But see, I don't think it was his fault. He didn't design that car.
Wait.
What?
Wait.
Oh, you're going to talk about Drive to Survive season 2?
It shows, I think, if you can read the way it's done, if you read between the lines, you know why he's gone. And it wasn't anything to do with the car design.
No?
No.
It was the way he managed. Yeah. See, I thought that, right? And am I slightly right when I said that when Sir Patrick Head came back to the team, he had a real issue with the way Paddy Lowe was doing things?
Yes.
I was right, wasn't I? Yeah. You could read between the lines, and it wasn't Claire because Claire Williams was happy to have Paddy Lowe on board. No? Then why did they hire the fuck?
I imagine when it's like anyone, when you initially hire them. Yeah, look at the pedigree the guy had. Right. Active suspension back at Williams. You know, he was the forefather of active suspension.
And don't forget that all of his years at Mercedes.
All his years at Mercedes, just, I don't know. He just didn't, and you could see she was frustrated with him.
Yeah. But
I think it was a hire that, it was one of those things, you've hired someone who looks great on paper and previously was great, but is now at an age where he probably just, it's a hobby, not a job.
Let me ask you a question, right? I haven't seen the episode of Drive to Survive season 2 with Williams yet. I have a feeling that Claire Williams can't make tough decisions.
No.
Right? And I said that before in previous podcasts with you when we talk about Formula One and all this other bullshit. And I felt that it took someone like Patrick Head to come in and go, all right, buddy, you're out. Right? I just don't think Claire Williams can make really tough people decisions. It's not that she's not capable of it. It's just that she just can't do it.
I think she had something to do with it because you could actually see during the episode how
frustrated. But it took someone else to do it.
But Patrick Head came in after Paddy.
No, he was still there.
Was he still there?
No, he was still there, yeah. That's what I mean. The whole point is that, Paddy was there, right? He was a big signing from Mercedes. Excuse me. And he was working with Claire. Claire was all happy and excited to have him there on the team, which I'm sure would be the case before you prove yourself.
Look at the guy's resume. Again,
exactly right. His resume is awesome. And then all of a sudden, miraculously, he disappears, a couple of weeks or a month or so after Sir Patrick Head is asked to come back.
I think the writing was on the wall before Sir Patrick Head came back. Looking at that episode, you got to read a lot between the lines, but I think he was gone before Sir Patrick got there.
Yeah.
Because he'd already dropped the 8 ball. There's a few things they comment, where's this? Oh, we don't know.
Well,
How can you be running a Formula One team, getting to a testing day, and not know where? It wasn't even a significant item. It was an insignificant little item, but no one knew where it was.
Yeah, well, remember the big issue last year that Williams had was that they couldn't get parts put on the car in a timely fashion. They had disjointed manufacturing processes and disjointed R&D the processes, and they weren't.
And off-site carbon facilities.
Nothing was linking. Nothing was working. And that is up to someone like Paddy Lowe to fix, right?
Well,
and he couldn't do it,
no.
right? But what I'm saying is she couldn't press the button to get rid of him. Claire couldn't do it quick enough. And I think it took someone like Patrick Head to come in and go, listen, man, show's over. Sorry. Thank you for your time. And he's gone. He's kind of disgraced because he hasn't come back to Formula One.
No, he's gone.
Has he?
No,
he's gone.
He's gone.
Well, he doesn't need to. He's probably got millions and bajillions anyway. So
all those years at Mercedes, all those bonuses, the years back at Williams back when the heyday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Williams, look, I was pretty happy. They were probably the only one that, did better than I was expecting.
Yeah. They certainly made up a lot of ground, dude.
They've made up a lot of ground. The car looks I like it.
I don't mind the livery.
I know Pickle Bear's quite against it, but I don't mind the livery.
Yeah.
It looks nice. They've gone with a few things that no one else is doing, like the front wing. Have you looked at the front wing? They've got double fins on it.
I haven't seen a lot of it.
They've done some interesting things. I think they had their backs that far to the wall. They've thrown all the eggs in the basket here.
It certainly can't be any worse than last year. No. Even if they're last, it doesn't matter as long as they're closer to the back.
And all the interviews, George, that's probably the most buoyant I've seen George Russell look during testing. He looked, and he was the same. We're not going to be fighting the big boys, but we're not going to be getting lapped.
I think Nicholas Latifi struggled a bit in testing.
I think, we just look back.
He's a paid driver. You know that, don't you?
Yeah. His dad owns 10% of McLaren.
Safina is the name of the food company that his dad owns.
Yes.
And so he's pumping in a shit ton of money into Williams, which is what they need. That's fine. So they have another paid driver again. So the expectations of Latifi is pretty low. I'm going to make a prediction, Rocket Russell, that in Melbourne, he puts it in the wall many times. Nicholas Latifi.
Yeah.
At least once.
At least once.
Like at practice. Practice session 1, Latifi's put it in the wall and there's a red fucking flag. Yeah?
Be like me the other night in F1.
Yeah. That type of shit. I can see
coming out of the pits and puts it into the wall.
I can see it happening, man. I just think, well, you're a young rookie. You're relatively inexperienced, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure on you, and I understand it. And you just nerf it.
It's going to happen.
I know.
It's going to happen. But, it was good to see them it was good to see them there at testing for the entire session.
Yep.
It was good to see them first out on track, which would have been
how keen were they?
Well, it was, yeah, they were there. Yeah, that's a good moral thing for them, for the team. It's a good, motivational thing. We made the grid. We're here.
I just love how they waited for the green light at the end of the pit lane for practice. I think the very first practice session of the year, they were there, the very first team out of the blocks.
That's a great morale booster. The guys will be back at home. Yes, we did it.
What's your predictions for Melbourne?
I think. See, it's tough to call. I'm going to go Mercedes start. Mercedes 1-2.
I'm going to make a prediction.
And I reckon your prediction will be my 3-4. Or 3-6. I think he's going to do better than we want him to do.
Who's that? Lance.
Yeah.
He's going to... I tell you what, he could easily outscore both the Renault drivers combined with that car. Unless, look, again, they could be like Ferrari last season.
Yeah.
So if you go back to last season in winter testing, at the start of the season last year, 2019,
oh, God, did
Ferrari looked unbeatable and everyone was shitting themselves and everyone was saying they could outdo Mercedes, right? And then you get to Melbourne and they got
not even
smacked.
as far as Melbourne. You got to testing 2 of last year and Mercedes had a second car that they bought with them and looked quite impressive.
But everyone said Ferrari looked really good. They're the favourites going into Melbourne, and then Melbourne came and they got smacked.
Absolutely nowhere.
Yeah. So who knows? No one knows. Maybe again, Force India, I keep saying Force India, Racing Point, maybe they're flattering to deceive, as Martin Brundle would put it. You know, they're putting in no fuel in the friggin' thing. They're running on fumes. They're flying like doing quali sims. And so, yeah, they look great. And then maybe Ferrari are putting in racing fuel and, you know, doing racing sims.
Well, they reckon the
shit.
Ferrari was a lot of Leclerc's laps. They reckon were running heavy.
Yeah, well, you know, Mercedes have accused them of sandbagging.
Yeah.
Of this shit.
Oh.
You can't win. You know, you're either flying and, you're not good. It's all lies and deception. Or you're not going fast. Oh, it's sandbagging.
Yeah.
You know? And so Renault, like I go back to Renault because I really, really want Renault to be competitive. I don't want them to win because they're not going to. I don't even want them to be in the top 3. I just want them to be really close to the top 3.
Yeah, just top of the midfield would be nice.
Yeah, just top of the midfield, but by a long way.
In a position to grab that podium if the opportunity arises.
And that's what they need to do. Because if Mercedes are unreliable this year, for whatever reason, particularly the first part of the season,
yep,
then if they're there to grab a podium, imagine if Daniel was on the podium in Melbourne for Renault. Can you imagine?
They'd paint the town yellow.
Oh, shit, yeah. It's a big year for him, dude. And
there's a lot riding on this year.
Yeah.
You know, because as they've said, there's you haven't got there yet, but there's this thing about the silly season this year is going to be one of the silliest seasons because what basically we've got 4 drivers, sorry.
Yeah, well, you got Hamilton, Ricciardo, Vettel.
It's easy to go through which drivers are
They're the 3 that are off contract, aren't they?
Yeah, well, the only 4 that are known on contract, you've got Max,
Yep,
Leclerc,
yep,
Sergio,
yep,
Lance Stroll.
Hey, the others are up for grabs.
Anyone else up for grabs? I mean, the big rumor is George Russell's gone. Don't worry about him. He's sorted for next year.
He's at Mercedes?
He's at Mercedes next year.
So that's it. Bottas is out then?
Bottas is gone. Hamilton won't go anywhere. I think all the talk about
Hamilton
going to
that's
Ferrari.
all died down, man.
Yeah, rapidly.
Yeah, I think that's rapidly died down.
Because it's been replaced by another Ferrari rumor, hasn't it?
What's that?
Our boy wearing the red.
Oh, well, if Danny Rick goes to Ferrari, that's huge. That's huge. But see, I don't know now because what if Renault suddenly really turns it around and they keep saying...
Well, he kept saying in all these interviews, but in saying that he did have a high-level executive sitting next to him when he said all these things was he'll take the phone call from Ferrari, but he wants it to work with Renault.
Okay, let's just talk about Drive to Survive Season 2, which just came out on Netflix at the time of this recording a day or 2 ago. One of the best shows you should watch on Netflix, even if you're not a Formula, if you're not an F1 fan, although if you're not an F1 fan and you're still listening to this, you're probably tuned out by now, right? I don't blame you. But if you're not an F1 fan, you'd still get a lot out of it. But it's very interesting when you look at Season 2 and the episode with Daniel at Renault, and he says, well, I knew what I was in for, and I'm here for the long haul and all that sort of stuff. And then he talks about McLaren, how he definitely had an offer thrown at him at McLaren, and that when he sees Carlos Sainz, outperforming him in the Renault, in the McLaren, then he sort of says, well, I'm not really angry about it. I've just got to keep working with Renault and keep doing better with them. I think he's better off at Renault than McLaren now. I just don't know. I don't know. Because maybe he's just going to go fuck Renault and just go, well, I'll go to Ferrari now.
Personally, I would have rather seen McLaren because McLaren's one of those iconic teams. It's one of the top 3.
I think he would be happier at McLaren.
And look at the office, the McLaren office. Come on,
did you see that office and all those rows of cars that they used to have down the spiral of it? Like whatever that spiral staircase sort of thing is.
Yeah.
What a facility.
Oh, it's just mind-boggling, that place. And it is just spectacular.
You know what? I reckon if you can't get to Ferrari and you want prestige and history and all that sort of stuff, McLaren's your next bet.
McLaren.
Ring-a-ding-ding, baby.
McLaren and Williams. They're your 2.
Yeah.
Look, I know Williams and McLaren. Well, McLaren was suffering a couple of years ago. Williams is going through it at the moment, but they're probably the 3 most iconic teams in Formula One.
Yeah. You know what, Rocket Russell? I got a bit of a surprise here.
Oh,
I've got a contact with Dr. Helmut Marko. I'm gonna ask
he's coming again.
Yeah, he's coming again. I'm gonna call him now and see how he feels about preseason testing. Let's see if I can get Dr. Helmut Marko on the phone. Let's see what happens with this. Anything can happen.
This is live.
Hello, this is Dr. Helmut Marco.
Dr. Helmut Marco, this is Retro Dan and Rocket Russell. You're live on Invert the Y. How are you?
Oh, apart from it being 2 a.m. in the fucking morning, I'm not too bad.
I really appreciate you taking the call, and I know you're very busy. We won't keep you very long, but just want to get your thoughts on how you feel Red Bull have gone in their preseason testing.
Look, it's a bit wild and wet, a bit slippery. The boys had a few spins, but, it's looking not too bad.
And you feel that you're up in the top 3 again this year?
Look, I think Ferrari fucking sandbag again. So, maybe the top 2. Maybe that pink Mercedes could be some problems, I think.
Yeah, what do you think about the I keep calling it Force India. Sorry, the Racing Point.
Yeah, the pink Mercedes. I need to get a fucking original idea.
Yeah, you're not happy with what they've done?
Look, it looks nice, but it's someone else's car. I mean, what do you fucking blokes being paid for?
And do you think Max Verstappen this year has a chance of more victories?
Look, I think Max will, get on the podium a bit more.
Yeah.
He'll have a couple of wins.
Yeah.
But, let's hope that Alex does a bit better than the Pierre did last year.
I was going to ask Dr. Helmut, it's Rocket Russell here. How are you, champ?
I'm good, Rocket. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Look, how do you think Alex will go this year? How did he come out of testing?
Look, he's getting more comfortable with the car. It was, he didn't have much time with the car last year, so.
And how do you feel?
I think he will do well.
How do you feel about the reports? How do you feel about the reports where they're saying it's a twitchy car this year?
Well, look, have you driven the fucking car? Has a reporter driven the fucking car? No. I think the car is very good, strong.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Don't you worry about that, Rocket.
What about the Honda engine, Dr. Helmut Marco? You happy with their progress over the winter?
Yeah, the Japanese, they're very good at making motors.
Yeah.
Renault, maybe we may fucking got out a bit too early, but we'll never say that. Yeah, no one will ever say that.
Yeah, well,
you just did.
It's hard to pull out. It's hard to pull out early.
Yes, my wife would say the same. That's how I have all these fucking children,
How many kids you got, Dr. Helmut?
15 to 32 different women. Us Austrians.
It gets cold there.
It's the fresh air.
Yes, it is. Got to keep the balls warm,
And what's the program? What do you think will happen in Melbourne? What do you think will happen in Australia for the first Grand Prix of the year?
Look, I think it will be, sadly, Mercedes 1-2.
Yeah. And
but, with the coronavirus, hopefully, some things happen and we have a good result.
And I just want to quickly ask you before we go, what do you think of the DAS system that Mercedes have come up with, a new steering system?
They're fucking cheats, those bastards. Fucking cheats.
Yeah?
Absolute fucking cheats.
You don't like what they've done with the you think it should be banned?
Outlawed, banned.
Yeah.
Anything. Set fire to it. I don't mind.
How do you feel about the FIA reports that have come out about Ferrari and the FIA coming to a secret resolution about the scandals from last year's motor?
Well, look, I don't want to point any fingers, but that president, that prick, he's driving a brand new Ferrari, That's all I'm going to say about that.
So you think Ferrari's bought themselves out of the problem?
Oh, well, you've said it's not me, Rocket. I think we leave it at that.
Yeah.
And look, when I get very tired, my accent gets a bit tricky, so I'm going to go to bed now.
One last question. Can you confirm that you definitely had a conversation with Vettel and him wanting to come back to Red Bull? And what do you think about that?
Look, once you go, he was very good for us, but if you ever fucking leave me, you're not coming back into this bed, let me tell you.
Really?
Yes.
You hold grudges.
I hold something, don't you worry about that.
But in saying that, didn't that Alex Albon, you kicked him out in 2012 and you've got him back now?
Well, look, these Thai boys, they have some special things they can do, so, I will leave that at that as well.
Dr. Helmut Marco, have you got any more questions, Rocket Russell?
No, man. It's always a pleasure, especially when you get up at 2 a.m. to talk to us.
Thank you. Look, I thank you very much for being part of the podcast. Really appreciate your time, Dr. Helmut Marco, and good luck in Melbourne and good luck for the season.
Thank you as well, Richard Dan, and I hopefully will speak to you again very soon.
Yeah, we'll speak soon and good luck. Thank you very much.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye.
See you, Dr. Helmet. It's always enlightening when he gets on the other end of the phone.
I tell you, we are very lucky here at Invert the Wire to have that contact. You won't get that at the. That's the power I have.
Oh, mate, it's amazing.
It is amazing.
2 a.m. he's taking your call.
Yeah, because he would have told everybody else in the press to fuck themselves. But I just give him a call and see this is what happens.
Picks up at 2 a.m., mate.
That's
right.
the
power you hold.
You know what I should do for Dr. Helmet Marco?
Ring a ding ding, baby.
Go. I think I might have got a message from Dr. Helmet Marco. What is he said? The accent gets worse every time. Well, you know what? I might thank Dr. Helmet Marco by giving him one of our exclusive T-shirts, Rocket Russell. Oh. There, roll it, monkeys. Hey, Dr. Helmet Marco and kids, if you want a good T-shirt, custom designed, like the Rocket Russell's holding up.
Yeah, I'm holding one up just so you can see it.
That's the avocado one.
Go the smashed avocado.
Go the smashed avocado. I might get one. I might give one to Dr. Helmet Marco as a thank you, but you can get one yourself on shop.inverty.net. Go to that website. You'll find all sorts of shit there, including thongs.
Has he added thongs?
He's added thongs, yeah.
When did he add them?
I don't know, but they've been there for a while. Although he's got the shits because the Nintendo one that he created, we got a copyright strike on, so it's been taken off the range. So I can't help you with that. And listen, and 10% it goes to charity. We don't make shit on these T-shirts, I can assure you. And Rocket Russell, did you know they're made in the US?
They're nice shirts.
They are the US cotton.
The cotton's different.
Yeah,
it's softer.
Yeah.
You're right. I thought you were tripping balls when you were talking about it.
No, I'm not. I don't make shit up. No bullshit.
Like compared to the lovely China shirt that cost me a fortune I'm wearing at the moment, it's softer.
Yeah, no, it's the proper US cotton. And, you know, whenever you go to the US and you buy a T-shirt, they have this really nice soft cotton. And I don't know why we don't get it here. We get the really rough shit.
It's called Bella Canvas.
Yeah, it's all ethically sourced.
Oh, wow.
It's the shit. I'm telling you now. They cost quite a bit of. We don't make any money on it, man. Nothing, dick. No, I'm telling you, nothing.
Because it goes to profit.
It goes to 10% goes to charity, which would be what we would make on it, but we don't make shit because we give it to a charity and the Melanoma Institute of Australia, so they benefit from that. And at the end of the day, they're a good T-shirt, and it's quite a big range of stuff that we keep adding.
And that is a problem.
It is a problem.
I've got a cart at the moment with 2 or 3 shirts in it, and I can't hit go because I don't know if there's other ones I want, or do I really want this one, or do I want that one?
As a bitch.
I'm definitely getting that Commodore 64 one.
Yeah, did you see the Outrun T-shirt?
Yeah, I know.
The one with my Gemini on it? It's freaking cool.
And there's a Ferris Bueller's Day Off one I want, but I need a closer picture of it because the Ferrari doesn't look right. And if it's a Ferris Bueller's Day Off shirt, it has to have the right Ferrari.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, I haven't seen it. I must admit, he keeps adding more and more stuff.
Yeah. And I got a cart sitting there. I want to hit go, but there's just... I get stuck.
And the shipping's a lot better now because we actually get it.
I've got one. That's proof.
Yeah, it doesn't take long to get. It take a couple of weeks because they're custom made. They're not in stock. They're custom made, so they'll take a couple of weeks to get to you, but they will get to you. You don't need an account. You just need a shipping address and an email.
Printed on demand.
And like I said, made in the US, not even China. Made in the US. 10% goes to charity. I fucking stand by it. I've got my own shirt. I couldn't believe the quality. And they're normal sizes too. They're not like, as someone said, they're not Filipino sizes. They're actually, if you buy an XL, they're an XL. Right?
That's what you like.
Not a small XL. You say you don't need like a 2XL just to get an XL. They're a proper XL. They're ready to go. Shop.inverty.net. I can't fucking spruik it anymore.
No, you'll get stuck on there.
I'll send one of the fucking Dr. Helmet Marco for taking my call.
Which one are you going to get him?
I might get him, I don't know, the Outrun shirt because it's like a bit racy.
Oh, yeah.
I think he'd like that. You know, because it's got the sick Gemini on it.
That was the best game.
Outrun? Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was a great game. Outrun? Yeah. That game, there was a couple of Sega games I used to love. Daytona? That came much later, like I think like
I
late
don't.
90s.
I honestly do not want to know how much money I have pumped through Daytona.
Daytona
machines.
was unbelievable. Unbelievable. When I first saw Daytona, I couldn't believe it.
Did you ever see the manual for it?
No.
So there was a manual. It would have been the size of a Bible, thick.
Yeah.
Of all the cheats, because you know how you used to go on certain tracks, you go under those spinny things.
Yeah.
If you hit a certain button combination down there, you'd win things like boosts. Oh, dude, it was intense, man.
Yeah. No, it's a Sega classic, and the other one was Virtua Racer. Did you ever play Virtua Racer?
It wasn't as good as Outrun.
No. Daytona and Outrun. Virtua Racer came. Even on the Mega Drive, I think it came with that Super FX chip or whatever they called it, and had those weird polygons. But any F1 game was amazing back in those days, Maybe one day we should talk about F1 games, classic F1 games, Rocket Russell.
That'd do a topic.
That would be a topic. Yeah, we could do that.
There's been some good ones. There's been some shit.
Oh, there's been terrible ones.
But absolutely.
The best Grand Prix game ever, or F1 game ever, was Jeff Crammond's F1.
That was on the 486.
That was on a PC. And the very first one I had was GP1, and I had that on my 286, and I used to get like 10 frames per second. It wasn't good. And then GP2 came out in 1994, and it had the proper 1994 F1 season with Ayrton Senna and all that stuff, although they didn't have Ayrton Senna's name in because he passed away. But they had the proper drivers, the proper liveries, everything. And it was a simulator. You could do anything on that car. And it had...
I think I remember that one.
And it had random reliability that you could turn
that's
on
what
and
we
off.
miss at the moment,
Yeah,
isn't it?
Codemasters are taking the piss with this F1. It's okay, but it's not as good as back in the day. So, GP2, Jeff Crammond's GP2, that came out in 1994, like I said, and that you could turn it on or off, and you could be driving your car, and you could have random reliability issues, and you might have a gearbox at a go, the engine might blow, you might have a water leak, oil leak, all sorts of shit. It was
I think the
awesome.
most I've had in F1 was a tyre went down on me. I got a puncture.
Oh, that's rare, but you got to hit
really
something.
rare.
Yeah, I don't know why that.
Ring-a-ding-ding,
That's
baby.
right. I don't know why they don't add it. Just put it in.
Just do it.
That's
It's
what I'm
not hard.
saying. It's not fucking
It's
hard.
it's an algorithm in the background.
Yeah,
or-
but you know what we'll get? We'll get F1 2020 later on this year, around August or September, around that sort of period.
Now,
And
see, this is going to be a big problem for us, isn't it?
why?
Well, because I know that I know what machine I'm buying at the end of the year.
And
I know that you've already said you're not going to buy one,
No, I'm
but
not
I put $10 on it now. You will, purely for the, you know what?
no, I won't.
You will.
What you're talking about the Xbox One X? I keep saying Xbox One X. What a dumb thing. Xbox Series X.
Series X.
It's just fucking stupid. No.
Yeah, they do bad names.
No, they can't. Microsoft is shit. And it really annoys me, that they've got highly paid executives that are in charge of marketing, and that's the best name they can come up with. Just call it Xbox. Or just call it Xbox Ultimate or something, right? But Xbox One was the worst name given to a console ever. That was fucking awful, right? And yeah, you're saying to me, are you going to get the Xbox Series X? And I'm saying no.
But I'm saying you will.
I don't see why I would, because every game that I can play on that thing, I can play on my Xbox One X. It's not as good, but I can play it. And I don't even play my Xbox One X except playing it with you guys on a Monday night with Formula One. That's all I'm doing on the fucking thing. And I just don't see the point right now. And it's going to be about a $700 machine here.
Yes.
Easy $700. They're saying $500 US. So what's that for us? $750, $800?
Yeah.
Fuck me.
But for the specs, which would come out during the week.
Oh, it's a steal. It's a steal for the specs.
I mean, for a PC, you'd pay some big bucks for that.
You'd pay a lot more than $800.
Yeah.
It's an absolute steal, right? But you're going to have to twist my arm, dude. You're going to have to say to me, okay, if we get one, we'll do the midnight launch. We'll do the nerd dinner.
See,
That's the only way you'll get me down there.
This is one thing that I think's dead now is the midnight launch. I love the idea, and I've been to many of them.
Yeah, they're awesome.
But I think they're dead nowadays. I think there's a Red Dead, prime example.
I did that.
You did the midnight launch.
Yeah.
When could you play the game?
Well, okay, so Red Dead Redemption 2, you're talking about.
Yep.
I went down there with Jason Relaxation and Pedro and Nervous Nathan / the Pickle Bear and Drunken Monkey. And we had a great night because we did the dinner, we did the nerd stuff, all that silliness. But you're right, by the time I physically got home, it was only just down here we did it, so 5-minute drive. By the time I got home, put the disc in and put it physically, it installed itself. I probably wasn't playing the game till like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, so I played very little of it.
See,
But you don't do it for that. You do it for like the whole experience.
yeah, I know the midnight releases were awesome, but
Yeah.
remember midnight releases when we lived in Parramatta, we used to go and do them all the time because we were a 5-minute walk from the thing. So you do your midnight release, you do the dinner, all fun. You'd be home, you put your game in the fucking machine,
Yeah.
and it fucking worked. There
Yeah.
was none of this. Oh, hang on, I've got to do a 60 gig update, and I've got to install it on the hard drive.
That's the modern.
See, that's
and
the
it's
part
only
of
gonna get worse.
Yeah, and that's what I
'Cause-
think is the midnight launch really.
It's
For nerds like us,
It's
something that
Yeah.
we'll probably still do, but
But to answer your question, it's dying.
It's dying.
And the reason why it's dying is because it's going to be digital downloads for everything.
yep,
Right.
And
So
programmers are lazy nowadays. They can release a game and think, by the time we've got this on shelves, we'll have a patch ready.
yeah.
So when they're installing it, we'll just install
So
the patch.
it makes no sense because at least on the PlayStation 4 and I'm sure the Xbox One and definitely the next consoles, you can download the game now, pre-order it and download it now. So say, for example, Cyberpunk 2077, I can download that now, have it preloaded, but it won't unlock itself until the midnight release of the game, the day of the
see, that's
right?
a good idea.
So that means I don't have to leave my house and I can play the game before I actually get home from my bullshit midnight launch. So yes, it is dying, but I would say I still want to do it because it's fun.
yeah.
So you're only doing it for fun, but
they're a
you
good
know,
night.
of course they are, but when you do it, you're not going to play the game
No.
until the next day, right? But I want to do the midnight launch for the consoles. So if you said to me, man, you twist my arm and you're like a drug dealer and you're like, you really need the Xbox Series X, you need it, then we'd have to decide where to go. And Parramatta's a good place to go. But it's a bitch to get out of.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. See, we used to live around the corner, so it was great because you could walk in, walk out.
Fucking just went down there last week with a Cookie Queen. What an absolute shithole. A fucking disgrace that place is. I'm sorry if you live there. Shout out to Parramatta.
I
but
drive.
you need to clean yourself up a bit.
I drive on a stone's throw away from Parramatta. Like literally, I drive down Great Western.
What a
and
shithole.
Parramatta's right there. I can't remember the last time I actually went to Parramatta.
I went down there for to have dinner, and what a shithole. I go back to my point. Now, I'm an international visitor, and that's what I see. Why did I fucking travel halfway around the world for this? That's what I'd say. I'm being serious. I'm being honest.
No.
There's weeds growing out of Parramatta River. Weeds. Because the river's shit. It's dirty. And there's construction everywhere. Right? Now I'm going to go on a rant. Right? But that's what you're giving me? Fuck off. But midnight launches at the Westfield there. I did the PS4 there. I think I might have even done the Xbox One out there. But we did the PS4. Nervous Nath was there, Drunken Monkey was there, Pedro was there, and I obviously was there. And we had the best night, man, because you meet all these weird nerds. You're so excited. You got a new toy you're going to get, right? You're a grown-ass man. You're going to get a brand new toy. You've taken the next day off work because you know you want to play with your new toy. And I'm being honest with you. So from Parramatta to here, right, you go down the freeway.
Yep.
And I remember, no bullshit, I didn't have the Golf then. I had a Commodore. Going back to Holden's, right? Yeah, the old V6, right? And I put I think I dropped other people home, or maybe we drove separate. I can't remember. And I put the PS4 in the back of the boot, and I remember driving down the freeway doing like 140, 150, and my logic was, if the cops pull me over, I'm just going to say, I've got a PS4. It's very important I get home. And my nerd logic was that they'd understand, right? They'd give me a pass, going, "Yeah, you're right. It's very important you get home.
Super important.
It's super important." But the night I got the PS4, it was so hot because it was in November. Fuck, it was hot. And by the time I got home, this place was so boiling hot. I spent like an hour trying to cool the place down before I actually installed the PS4, and I was like dripping with sweat. My excitement levels were high. I was shaking. I was like excited. What will it look like when I turned it on? Oh, it was breathtaking, you know? Dude, I don't know if I can do the Xbox Series X. I just don't know if I'm there for the ride. I just don't know. I don't know. You're going to have to twist my arm. And if you said to me, we'll do the midnight launch, we'll have the nerd dinner, we'll get excited. I've convinced Nervous Nathan. I've convinced...
I'll see. There's probably going to be convincing Nervous
He won't
Nathan.
do it. He won't do it.
Because you screwed him on the Xbox One X.
I didn't screw him.
No, but you convinced him into it.
I didn't convince him. That's a fucking lie, right? He asked me, what do I think of it?
When's this airing?
I'll put this up Monday.
So I'll cop a phone call.
Yeah, you'll cop
Monday night.
you'll cop a phone call. This is the story, right? He says to me, because I'd had one, I think I got mine launch.
Yep.
And I'll stand by the fact the Xbox One X is great. It really is, right?
That's a great machine.
And I said to him, he says, oh, I really want one. There's some stuff I want to play on there. I think you'd been in his ear about, we'll play F1 together on there. And, you know, Retro Dan's a prick. He won't play it on Xbox, all this shit. And I said, well, you know what? I do think it's a great machine. And if you're asking me, should you get one? I'll say, yeah, go get one. It's fine. It's not a problem. But it's not my favorite machine. I stand by that. I stand by the fact Microsoft fucked that controller. They fucked. And have you heard the rumor that the Xbox Series X controller is going to be smaller? Have you heard that?
No.
Because they fucking, that's true. Because
I read all the specs. The
specs are amazing. The actual hardware is awesome, right? For the dollar that the amount of money you're paying for the actual box is fantastic.
Oh, it's a steal.
It's a steal, man, right? Because you know they're not making any money on it, right? Maybe they're losing on it, right? I'll be more than happy to buy one, right? For the actual technology that I get for my dollar, right? But I don't know if I want to buy both at the same time. That's my point. And I want my PS5. I just want it. I just fucking want it.
You haven't even seen the specs yet and you want
I haven't even seen the specs yet. Sony have gone into their shell. They're blaming coronavirus and not playing, and they're not coming out and saying anything. I think it's only a matter of weeks, maybe months before we hear something.
Well, it'll be part of it be because Xbox has dropped its specs now. So there'll be people going back going, shit, hang on, we need to up this.
Do you reckon they're fucking like doing like 24 hours a day of work going, oh shit, we have to backpedal, or we have to like really think about our price now. Like maybe our machine isn't as powerful, but if it's $100 cheaper, then that's how we can get around this problem.
I imagine there's engineers throughout Sony going mental at the moment. It'd be like a Formula One team.
Oh yeah,
Formula One team before Melbourne.
Yeah,
you're pumping it.
The engineers, like that's impressive. The engineers to go, all right, well, we're designing this box. Here you go. The rumor is, I'll give you some nerd shit. The rumor is apparently tomorrow, US time, Monday, right? At the time of this recording. Yep. Sony are giving developers the final dev kit, which is the final specification. And every time they give a dev kit, it's more powerful, right? And it gets closer to being more refined and being the final retail version. So it won't be the retail version.
No,
but devs are saying this is where it's getting pretty close now, right? So once they give us this final dev kit, then they're likely to come out and say this is what the retail will be. So I don't know, man. But if you said to me, all right, Drunken Monkey's in, he fucking won't. He'd rather eat shit than buy an Xbox, right? Pedro's in, he ain't in. I've spoken to Pedro, right? He ain't in. Nervous Nathan's in. Yes, you're right. In his eyes, I fucked him, right? So he ain't buying an Xbox. Supermodel's in.
Oh, he'll get
one.
He's a late technology person.
Will he get one at launch?
He won't get one at launch.
Oh, well,
he'll get one later on in the year.
See, there's no point in my opinion at that point because I want it now. I don't care if it costs me more. I want it now because it's the latest and greatest. Not fucking 2 years down the line. What's the point? The shit's 2 years old. You know what I mean? That's how I see it.
He's always been a late technology.
He's a laggard.
Yeah.
I'm not a laggard, man.
No. Like, I'll get my Xbox One.
We're early adopters.
Series 1.
Yeah, we're early adopters, dude.
I'll be at midnight release on my own.
You know what? Okay. If you'd be nice to me and you say, come on, man, Let's go down. Midnight launch, Xbox Series X.
Don't make me stand here alone.
Don't make me stand here alone. I thought we were friends. Fuck your podcast. I'm never going to go on your podcast ever again. Maybe I'll listen to you.
Maybe.
Right. But I'm yet to see anything apart from the technology that they're packing into that small box. See, even the box concerns me because it looks like a bloody... Have you seen the memes of, what's his name, Phil Spencer with like a rocket launcher on his shoulder and it's the Xbox Series X? That's actually pretty clever. I don't know if I can fit it in my hi-fi cabinet.
That has been a thought of mine is like...
Where I put
where
this
the
fucking
fuck
thing.
am I going to put it?
Yeah, I want to see it actually. I want like EB Games or somebody to actually have like one on demo.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, it's not as big as it looks on TV.
Because it looks big. And all I can think of is, where am I going to put that?
Where am I going to put this thing?
Yeah.
Like, I fear the day that I've actually got to pull out my PS4 and Xbox One X to upgrade to the PS5 because there's shit everywhere. It's like a power grid. I got to find the cords. It's a first world problem to the max. But that thing, when I saw the packaging, I went, that looks like a mini ITX tower, a PC tower.
Yep.
That's great. And they've pretty much built a fantastic PC for like a quarter of the price I could actually build it myself. Fantastic, right? But that's not what I want because I don't have any room to put it. Where am I going to put this fucking thing?
That's my concern.
Where am I going to put it, right? And it looks pretty sick. I think it's got the green glowing
lights,
things
yeah.
at the... And I'm like, well, okay... I want to see one for real, Rocket Russell. I want to see the final price, which I think is going to be in Australia.
700.
That's minimum. So what's the US dollar right now? What are we, 75 to a US dollar? 75 cents?
Are we that high at the moment?
Oh, we're less, aren't we? So 70?
We had yesterday.
Oh, we had the coronavirus hit. So we could be down to 68. We could be really fucked. See, this is all the bullshit now, right? All this is going to hurt us now. We're fucked.
Oh, mate, it's screwed.
This could be 800 bucks.
This is a problem that's going to be 65 cents.
Oh, that's bad. Fuck, that's the worst it's ever been.
Because they had the big market blowout.
Well, you know what? When I travelled with Pedro to America when we did our big... He's got to come back and talk about it.
Yeah, I was telling you during the week, I feel a bit,
I
feel like the guy coming up after Jerry Seinfeld's been on this.
You can't be more nerdy than Pedro. It's impossible, as you've now heard.
Yeah,
right?
That's what I mean. But I feel like the guy coming out after Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah, I know. But what can you do, right? But when we were traveling in the US, it was 47 cents to the dollar because it was after September 11th in 2001, right? So the dollar plummeted, and it was 47 cents. And I remember almost starving because it was like. You go and see the Big Mac system. You go to a McDonald's. A Big Mac was $5, whatever it is, right? Well, that was $10. That's how it was. Everything was just double it, $10. Oh fuck, that's $50, $100. Holy shit, right? And so I think now the price of these things is going to be for us.
Oh, it's going to
at least $700. I wouldn't be shocked if it's $800.
And the question is now, the big question with the coronavirus at the moment is
production.
Yeah. And the other problem is silicon's already at a low.
Yeah, well,
they've already got a silicon problem. So a silicon problem combined with the coronavirus.
Yeah. Well, there's a worldwide shortage of silicon.
Yeah,
you've heard that.
Yes.
And both AMD and particularly NVIDIA are saying, look, oh shit, we might have to raise prices because we don't know if we can meet demand and all this sort of silliness. And the dollar being low, production being a problem, fuck, this is like a perfect storm of, we could go back to the old 3DO days. When I saw a 3DO machine in 1993, and this was like the new thing that came out, and I saw one at a shop down the street here, and at a long since gone department store called Game. Remember Game?
I loved Game.
Yeah, well...
They had a really good store on Parramatta Road.
Yeah, well, Nervous Nathan used to use them all the time to get his games, right? Well, anyway, I went there in 1993 and I saw a 3DO, a Panasonic 3DO, and it was playing Road Rash. And it looked way better than any Mega Drive I'd ever seen. $1,100 it was.
I remember the 3DO.
Fucking $1,100. We could be going towards like $800 for this thing.
Well,
that's
depends
fine.
what happens over the next couple of months.
That's exactly right. That's fine. But because when you compare it to what you can build for a PC, because PC parts are going to go through the roof too, because we always get fucked here for that shit. Okay, cool. But I don't know, man. You'd have to be very, very fuck that Google bitch.
Here's a matching video.
I don't know. You'd have to twist my arm, man. You're gonna have to work on me a bit.
I'll start.
You're gonna have to work on me. And playing Formula One on a Monday night with you and Supermodel ain't gonna cut it because I'll just use my Xbox One X if I have to.
Well, we have to use Xbox One X because Supermodel's not going to upgrade soon.
Oh, he's not. Yeah, so you could be the elite, and we could be the paupers.
I wonder if it'll do cross-platform game playing. I know
it does.
They
does.
They said that you called the 2 games.
Yeah, I called that.
Yeah,
I called that. Yeah, that was very obvious. Like, I mean, they call it smart delivery. That's what Big Phil Spencer said in his blog this week. It's called smart delivery. Where if I buy, well, they've said that too, Cyberpunk 2077. And I've bought it for the Xbox One X. When I get my Xbox Series X, it automatically updates itself to a better version of it.
No, I was talking about 2 games on. So, you know, when you stop a game on your Xbox, you come back, you hit play.
Yeah.
The
two.
They're doing the
suspend.
2.
Yeah,
Yep.
I called that. But they sort of whispered that before. Both consoles whispered that.
Xbox has confirmed.
Sony pretty much has said the same thing, which is great.
Oh, brilliant.
So that's brilliant. So what if you and I are playing Formula One and we suspend it, and then I'm also playing, I don't know, Cyberpunk as well, and I can suspend that together? That's awesome. That's awesome.
I do like that convenient factor.
Oh, shit, yeah. That's why I like console. You know, that's why I was saying to Sassy Sahini, that's why I like it, because I can suspend, resume, and play games. I don't want to reboot my fucking PC every time, even though it's, quick.
Yeah.
It's a first world problem. I'm trying to eliminate all these first world problems I have, And an Xbox Series X just adds to it.
And your 8K TV.
It'll come. But my 8K TV is going to come at a cost, right? I was talking to the calibrator. No bullshit. The calibrator wants to do an interview with me on this podcast, right? And the calibrator was telling me that 8K is really only good to increase TV size. So you can have now an 80-inch TV, but still sit only 2 or 3 meters away from it. Whereas today with a 4K, if you've got an 80-inch TV, it gets too grainy because the resolution's not as high as a 8K. And just like 4K's got much higher resolution than HD. So what it really allows is much bigger TVs. That's what it allows.
Steve, I was trying to explain to my kids who are 9 and 12 that we used to play on a CRT.
Yep.
And it was an 80-centimeter CRT.
That was massive.
It was the biggest thing we'd ever seen. It took 3 of us to put it up on the stand. If it had fallen on you, you were dead.
I used to have a 36-inch widescreen CRT, and I'm not kidding when I tell you this, it weighed 80 kilos.
So my mate bought this. It was an 80-centimeter square, and then like a week later, they come out with the widescreens readily available in Australia.
Yeah.
It was fucking hilarious.
I know. Somehow, Rocket Russell, we deviated off Formula One because we don't have a lot to talk about with Formula One. But, other than to say that we've got a couple of weeks to go, we're in Melbourne, and we can wrap up Formula One after Melbourne and go, you know what, told you so.
Told you so.
Told you so, fucking Mercedes. This season's going to be shit.
Yeah, that's what I said. We're so excited at the moment.
I just want the cars, man. I just want racing again. I like going into autumn and winter because you know what? I've got my football back. I've got racing
V8s.
back.
My V8s.
V8s. Formula One. Everything's back to normal again.
I got to talk you into start following V8s.
You need to help me with that. Maybe that's a podcast we can do.
Ooh.
You have to help me with that. I don't know how to do. I'm not into V8s for some reason.
It's good racing. NASCAR's the best.
Yeah, you and Supermodel love NASCAR, don't you?
After this, during lunch, I'll show you a clip, and I can guarantee this is one of the clips that'll get you into NASCAR.
I need to know more about NASCAR. Like when can I see it? And
that's the problem in Australia.
It's shit, isn't it?
Well, Australia, it used to be on Fox. Fox has dropped it, so now it's preview. Well, race reviews afterwards.
So we don't have any coverage of it now. Oh well, then that's the end of it, isn't it?
Yeah, which sucks because it is actually good racing.
So you know what? Why do we have Foxtel?
I don't.
What do they do for us?
I don't.
I'm an idiot because I still have it, but I'm doubting it now.
I've got KO, which
well,
is
you got
Foxtel
KO.
anyway.
That's Foxtel, and that gives you
sports.
I
got Netflix for everything else. Who needs Fox?
Does that give you more than one TV. You can use it on more than one device.
Yeah.
And you don't get charged for it.
I don't think so. I think I've got 3 devices.
And you can use KO.
Yeah.
I might drop Foxtel and use KO. Fuck this. Because you know
It's
what?
the same.
Did I ever tell you what Foxtel wanted? This is my rant for the. Actually, I've got 2 rants before we go. Right? You want a good
Roll
rant?
it. Go for it.
I don't have a rant thing. I've got
Oh,
Kingswood Country.
Ooh,
I'm going to roll that bullshit. Where is it?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's all very confusing. Everything's changed in this thing. All right. Roll the monkeys. So, in my new segment of ranting, here's 2 for you, Rocket
Ooh,
Russell,
it's
before we
double
leave
barrel.
his bullshit fucking podcast. Here's my first one. So I've had problems with the post office, right? These motherfuckers cannot deliver the mail. They're incapable of it. And yet that's what their job is, right? You know what their latest is? They don't deliver on the proper street. So I get the correct address per se, but I don't get the right street that I'm living on, right? So the number's the right number,
Yep.
right? But the street is wrong. And so when I've approached the post office directly, you know what they've said to me? And I fucking quote, "Oh, we don't look at the street anymore. We just look at the numbers."
How can you not look at the street?
Oh, good question, Rocket Russell. And so when I said, how can you just not look at the number and the street? You need to look at both. They thought that was a radical fucking idea. And you know what then she said? Here's the number and ring our hotline or our complaint center and put in a formal complaint. And I said, why do I have to do that shit? Where's your fucking little man-child manager sitting behind the counter who's eating cream puffs? I can see the fuck. You're right. And she says, oh, no, you have to put in an official complaint. And then I said, well, have you got a number for this complaint? And she rattled the number off. And I said, no, you write it down. You know what she said to me? Are you ready for fucking? I'm not making this up. You know what she said to me, Rocket Russell? We don't have any paper here. And I said, are you fucking serious? When I walk in, all I see is fucking paper. There's fucking printing paper and fucking post-it notes and all sorts of bullshit. It's not even a post office anymore, Rocket Russell. You know what it is?
It's a general store.
It's a fucking general store, these motherfuckers. And she said she had the fucking balls to tell me she didn't have any paper. And I said to her, you know what you do? Rip that fucking printing paper open now and you write on that fucking thing. And she said, sir, don't make a scene. I said, I'll fucking make a scene in a minute, you fuck. Right? And she finally found some paper and she wrote the number down. And you know what she said to me on the way out? I'm not making this up. She said to me, grab a coffee because you'll be waiting a while. Because they'll take a while to get to you. And then I fucking said, all right. So I made a coffee. I got plenty of time on my hands, Rocket Russell. You know I have. And I rang them and I said, and they said, what's your problem? I said, well, they don't deliver on the right street anymore. They deliver the right number, but they're not on the right street. And they told me they don't look at the street anymore. They just look at the numbers. And the person on the phone said to me, well, that's not what they should be doing. I said, well, they are. And she said, well, we'll put the complaint in. I said, no, you need to put me on your area manager because these guys do it all the time. Right? And she said, all right, we'll put it. He's not available, but we'll put it down and all this bullshit. And I said, she goes, out of 1 to 10, what would you rate us? I said, fucking -10. You're a disgrace. Australia Post is a fucking disgrace. An absolute fucking outrage. I can't believe how bad you are. I told them, if I would not, I've transitioned everything to electronic email, right? All my bills, because you can go fuck yourselves. I would not trust you with anything, right? Nothing. You're an absolute disgrace. And so today when I walked down the front to empty my bin, in bins I used to have, but I don't anymore because the fucking council are another disgrace. They took my bins away because they thought it'd be more environmentally sound to share my fucking bins. Oh, they don't even do that. That's another story for another fucking rant. I checked my mail this morning before you came. Guess what? Wrong mail again. Wrong street, right address. So right numbers, but wrong street.
It's not computing for me.
I'll get the letter for you.
Oh, yeah, no, I trust you, but it just doesn't. How can you not go by the street?
They don't. They're lazy. They don't give a shit. So what am I going to be doing tomorrow? When I'm uploading this bullshit, boring fucking crap podcast, I'll be on the phone to these fucks again, and I'll be saying, oh, well, yet again, you don't know what you're doing. As soon as I stop complaining, they do a couple of deliveries that are spot on, and as soon as I take my eyes off the ball, they fucking go to shit again. They're an absolute disgrace. So you know what? Fucking roll it, monkeys. No, not that one. This other one. Where is it?
Oh, you press that button.
No.
Which changed those buttons there. Yeah.
Yeah, this one. If you want your mail delivered, don't use Australia Post. They're a disgrace. I don't care if they hear me. I'll call them out. They're a fucking insult. It's supposed to be Her Majesty's mail. They don't even use it. They don't even know what Her Majesty is anymore. They're fucking rude and incompetent. Fuck them. Don't use them. And if they wanted to advertise me and they came here and they said, Retro Dan, we want to sponsor your podcast, you know what I'd say? No. Never. Now press this button down.
What you do?
No. This button's incompetent too.
It works for Australia Post.
That's my rant.
This is a side gig. Good rant.
Oh, I'm happy.
I don't understand how you can not use the street address.
They don't do it anymore. They told me to my face. They told me to my face.
It's illogical.
They told me to my face. That's what they said. They're an absolute disgrace. I don't care. I don't care what suburb you live in. They're all the fucking same, incompetent. You know what I said? Then I walked down there. Because in the spate of me going there and showing them the letter that was incorrect so they could understand what I was talking about, I then walked back home, checked my mail again, and there was another incorrect delivery in the same fucking day. And I went down there again and I showed them the letter and I said, that's another one. And she says to me, because she's smart, oh, weren't you here 5 minutes ago? I go, fuck yeah. And then I said, you know what? Next time your postie comes down the street, I'm going to bail him up. She says, we'll call the police. So I'm the fucking bad guy. I'm done. I'm fucking done. I can't stand it. This country's gone to shit.
It doesn't make any... I can't compute what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying, right?
And both of us have spent many years in the logistics industry.
So you know why I was ranting? Because I've done that shit.
Yeah.
And I said to them, somewhere in your sort center, you're not sorting properly. You're not delivering the shit properly, right? And they didn't.
Well, no, see, because it doesn't... At their sort center, because I've been there.
Yeah.
It's not sorted down to that level. It's sorted down to a branch.
Yeah, it goes to the branch.
And then it goes to the branch. And then
they
it's the
sort.
postie's job to sort from there.
But old mate isn't fucking doing it.
Well, old mate needs his fucking job.
And you know what I said? Old mate needs his glasses fixed. He needs bigger glasses. Because I've seen old mate with glasses on. Mate, the bloke can hardly ride the bike. I've seen the bloke ride the bike. He can't even ride the bike. And I'm the bad guy. You know, one day, I got somebody else's mail. You know what it was? Hospital medical records from the local hospital here. Someone had discharge papers. They'd been to the hospital, and I had their discharge papers in my hand. How fucking much of a breach of privacy is that? Massive.
But that happened during the whatchamacallit, didn't it?
Yes.
That happened to heaps of people.
Yeah. So when I went to the post office, I said, I've now got someone's medical records here. They looked at me like, oh, what's the big deal? They are the most incompetent fucks, and I'm calling them out. I'm fucking going to the internet, and I'm calling these fucks out. Absolute disgrace. Fuck them. This podcast is over, Rocket Russell. I need to calm down.
And have a pee.
And have a piss. I'm busting for a piss. Thank you for being on the podcast, Rocket Russell, and listening to my rant. Mate, let's talk about Formula One again in Melbourne in a couple of weeks' time and bore everybody fucking stupid again.
Yeah, but we'll mix it up because maybe we can get the sock puppet down for it.
Well, the sock puppet is... He's got to get sand out of his vagina. It's very simple.
I've sent him a sand buster.
It takes a bit of time. I think he needs a fucking dust buster or something.
I've sent him a sand buster.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Fair enough. But thank you for coming on the podcast and talking with us about Formula One. It's interesting at the moment. We don't know. In
2 weeks, we'll both be pissed off.
We're going to be we're going to have the shits. Yeah. That rant I just did about Aussie Post will be nothing compared to my rant when Lance Stroll fucking stands on the podium as he wins his first race. Right.
I almost want to rip off my headphones and walk away before he finishes.
And Lawrence Stroll is standing there with a smile on his face and clapping and talking about how awesome his son is as a driver. And fucking Daniel Ricciardo's engine blows up on lap 5. And Esteban Ocon puts it in the wall. Renault gets 0 points. And you know what? I'll go even one better. The pink Mercedes Racing Point get both the win and second place. They get a 1-2.
That hurts my brain as much as Australia Post.
Oh, Australia Post. I can't do it anymore. Mate, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for the two people who have been listening to these bullshit podcasts. Thank you, Dad, for letting us use your garage. I'm sorry for remembering about fucking Australia Post. They can't deliver the fucking mail. It's not that fucking hard. I'm sure it's not. They don't even give a shit. They're just as incompetent as fucking Renault. They've got more lies and deceit than fucking Cyril a Beatball does. When I go up there to my post office and I demand my letters to be fucking posted, they don't give a shit like Cyril a Beatball. He doesn't give a shit about Daniel Ricciardo's career. He never fucking did. He sold him a fucking lie. We know it's true. Just fucking wait until Melbourne comes. You know it's bullshit. That fucking lap time he put in at fucking Barcelona in preseason testing is absolute lies. I know it is. I fucking can see the future. I know I've seen the future before.
Getting red there, buddy.
Oh, fuck. I'm angry. And next week we'll have some more retro and more bullshit. But until then, you can roll it, monkeys. Oh, no. Oh, it's the wrong fucking thing. Roll it, monkeys.